Begin the meeting. It's a little unique situation. This is only our second Zoom meeting, so we're still learning on how to do these meetings. My name is Dan Monks. I'm the Assistant Town Manager and the Planning Director for the Town of Bennington, and I staff the Development Review Board meetings. I'm not a voting member, but since I am manning the Zoom video conference, I'll be taking a larger role in running the meeting than I normally would be, but Charlie Kopp, he's the chairperson. Charlie, do you want to call the meeting to order?
Yeah, are we all here?
Yeah, we have enough to begin. So
okay. Yeah, I'd like to call the Development Review Board to order, January 19.
Great. I'm going to go around since we have folks here that haven't been in these meetings before. I'm going to ask people to introduce themselves. So I'll start with Ron. Why don't you introduce yourself?
Ron Alderman.
Okay. And Dan?
Dan Mallenborg.
Okay. And Charles?
Charles Forrest.
And we have Charles Kopp too. So,
Oh.
and Bill?
I forgot.
Yep.
I forgot.
I'm Bill Barney.
Okay. And Jane?
Jane Radocchio.
Okay. So those are for the folks that are presenting this evening. Those are the board members. Again, I'm not a voting member. I'm a staff person, just to make it clear, although I will be doing some of the chair's duties because of the fact that I'm running the Zoom meeting on my computer. So don't want any confusion. Charlie's in charge. So the first item on our agenda are the minutes from our last meeting. Is there a motion to approve the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay,
I'll second.
great. All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any opposed?
I'm abstaining.
And Dan abstains. Okay, great. So all in favor, except for Dan Malmberg, who's abstaining. Linda, did you get that? Okay, Linda Bermudez.
I did, sorry, yes.
Linda Bermudez is taking our minutes. She's remaining off video, but feel free to join us if you'd like to, Linda.
Thank you, Dan.
Let's see. The next item on our agenda is a disclosure of any. Well, I skipped one. I'm sorry. The next item on our agenda is the witness oath. Normally, we have folks sign a witness oath before they speak to the board this evening, but given the situation, I'm just going to read it, and then everybody, please understand that if they do present to speak to the board this evening, they're speaking under oath. And the oath statement says, "I solemnly swear or affirm under the pains and penalty of perjury, the statements I make, testimony I give, and other evidence I submit to the board at the board's public hearing held on this date shall be true and correct to the best of my knowledge and belief." And again, normally we have folks sign that, but because of the unique situation, we're reading it and we're asking folks to understand that when they do speak to the board this evening, they're speaking under oath. Next item on our agenda is disclosure of any ex parte communications or conflicts of interest regarding any of the matters before the board this evening. Are there any board members who have any conflicts of interest? None?
Nope.
Okay, and then Jane, I know you felt that you wanted to disclose your discussion, even though it does not rise to a conflict of interest. I'll let you do that, and just to make sure everybody feels comfortable.
Jeff and I discussed where resources would be to see old pictures of the building. He knew all the resources I had, so I was not very useful.
Okay, and that clearly is not a problem, but I know that it's always good to disclose to folks any conversations we have with the folks that are applying for approval this evening. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and get started on the hearings. The first hearing this evening is Burger King, basically. BLS Bennington is the owner of the property currently. And these folks are seeking approval for the construction of a new Burger King restaurant at 216 Northside Drive. Most of the board members will recall that was the old mobile station before it was torn down, and it's been a vacant lot for quite some time. I know this evening we have two folks here on behalf of Burger King, and Steve and Doug, I'm going to go ahead and let you introduce yourselves for the minutes taker, and you can take it away.
Go ahead, Doug.
Steve. No, you go ahead.
All right. Good evening. Thanks for having me, Steve Wilson from Bowler. based here in Albany on behalf of the applicant. Thanks for having us.
I am Doug Beachel. I'm a real estate manager with Carroll's Corporation. We're based in Syracuse, New York, and we are a Burger King franchisee.
Welcome, Doug. Okay, Steve, do you want to go ahead and give us an overview of the application? I have enabled you to share the screen if you'd like to. Everyone does have paper copies as well, so.
Thank you much, Dan. Can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Perfect. I love when the technology works seamlessly. So we have been working with Dan for the last several months, so I'm going to keep my introduction brief so that we can get to the Q&A and any of your comments about it. But I just want to give you a high level just overview of the investment that Carroll's is looking to make into the community. It's a great project. I think it was already mentioned. The site currently sits vacant, been vacant for a while. So I think this investment is going to be a marked improvement. So I'll just touch base quickly on the site plan, and then I'll talk about the elevations, again, keeping it brief, but just for bearings, I know you have the plans. Along the right side of the page here is Northside Drive. We have right here in the center is our proposed new building, about 3,300 square feet. We're going to have access. This is the roundabout along down here with access off the Plaza Drive into the property, which will lead to either in-person dining, parking for in-person dining along the north side of the property. And then as an option, we have two ordering points that merge into a single drive-through to maximize the efficiency of the drive-through. We'll also have, we'll take advantage of the existing driveway off of Northside Drive to provide access to the property as well. Nice, clean site plan, works well considering the plaza, the various access points. As I said, the property currently sits about, is almost entirely all gravel, and we are going to green it up. We'll go to about 30% green space on the property when we're all done. So it'll be a marked improvement. With that, I'm going to jump over to the building elevations. Can you see the elevations?
Yes.
Perfect. So as I mentioned, we've worked with Dan over the last several months to make sure our project is in compliance with your design guidelines, and Dan has provided a lot of nice feedback over that time. And we have modified what is Burger King current prototype. As you can see, it's a marked difference from Burger King's in the past. Some of the bright colors and have been removed. It has a lot cleaner straight lines to the building, more neutral earth tones to the project as well. A very good, sophisticated looking building. And one that there's one definitely in Miami, and there might be another one under construction out in the Midwest, but this will be the first one of its kind in the Northeast. And it'll be their new prototype moving forward. So again, my comments are brief. We're here for Q&A. I can answer questions about the site plan, etc. And I have Doug here as well. If I stumble, he can jump in as well. So I'll hand it back to you, Dan.
Great, thank you. All right, Steve, if you maybe just to make it easier for folks, just to stop sharing that screen, and if we have to bring it back, we'll bring it back.
Okay.
Great, thank you very much. I guess I'll open it up to questions from board members. So are there any board members who have questions they'd like to ask the applicant? Jane, I see your hand.
Yep, yeah. I see that there's a nice row of trees, which I know is there between you and the motel. I know it's on their property. I know the road that goes past it is already there. On the other hand, we like trees, and that gives the motel privacy. And I wonder whether you've talked to them, whether they have been considered, and just checking in.
Could you clarify for a second where you're referring to? Just help me get my bearings.
On the, oh, I don't know, it's the west side. As you swing off, coming in from the west, from the bypass, as you swing off to come into the space before you get to the roundabout, that swing goes right beside the property line of the motel. And there's a row of trees that shields the motel. Now, your plan does not show that you are going to regrade, do anything with that road, which goes into basically the price jockey. But I'm just curious because, you know, it would be too bad if you built this really nice building and then all those trees died.
We'll certainly talk to them then and make sure there's not going to be any problems with those trees. We're not here to we're not here to kill anybody's trees.
I finally found the side plan. It's the northwest side.
So Jane, I can certainly answer that question. That's not part of their disturbed area. And those trees are a condition of a previous permit. So even if they were to die, they'd have to be replaced by the property owner.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, thanks, Jane. Anybody else have any questions for the applicant?
Seems pretty cut. Seems pretty cut and dried.
They did a very thorough job. Thank you, Steve.
Thank you, Dan.
So we have a couple of options. If everyone's satisfied with what they've seen and the information presented, I don't see any reason why we couldn't make a motion to approve. But if folks need more information, or if they felt they wanted to discuss this in private, we could have a deliberative session at the end, or we could continue it. So it's really up to you folks what kind of motion you'd like to make at this particular time.
Comment first, Dan. I like the color scheme. It's gonna be nice. Thanks, guys.
Dan,
Yes,
do we require two meetings on this?
not if the board wants to go ahead and approve it.
Okay,
So Ron, you've made a motion to approve. I didn't hear that
No,
clearly.
I just said I wanted to compliment them on their color
Okay.
scheme. For the
Okay.
building.
Thank you,
All right,
Ron.
so Jane has made a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll
I'll
second.
Okay, so I'm going to say Charles Koukouris. Charlie, I think Charles Koukouris beat you, Charlie. So we
that's
have,
okay.
all right. So Jane moved to approve and Charles Koukouris second that motion. I'd ask all in favor to say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, so Linda, just for your purposes, that was a unanimous vote. So just for the record. So Steve and Doug, you guys are welcome to hang out, but you probably got lots more fun things to do than watch the next application. So you're all set. And Steve, I will be putting together a written approval for you, and that'll go out in the next couple of days. But as you've seen, your application is approved as you've presented it. So thank you very much for a very thorough application, and enjoyed working with you on this project. So best of luck.
Thank you, Dan. Appreciate it. To all the board, thank you much.
Okay.
Have a great night.
Thank you very much.
Stay safe.
Can't wait to open.
Thanks,
Good luck,
Steve.
See ya.
All right, so I have someone who's calling in. So I'm going to go ahead and admit them and ask them who they are. So we'll see if they're what they'd like to do. Unfortunately, I don't have. So caller number ending in 4840. You've been admitted to the meeting. What?
Hello?
Are you here?
Hello?
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 Can you hear us?
Can you hear me?
We can. Can you please identify yourself?
Yes. Good evening, Dan Monks. This is Sam Rustino from Bennington, Vermont.
Hi, Sam. You're in the meeting. We're about to start the second hearing for 300 Pleasant Street. So
I know. Well, my concern is for Burger King.
Well, unfortunately, you joined the meeting too late for that, so we're moving on.
No, you didn't enter me into the meeting. I'll be real brief. It's going to be too close to the roundabout and you're going to have congestion and backup in that roundabout. That's my concern. I vote that you have another location in that plaza, which is behind Stevens. That's my concern.
Okay, thank you for your concern. Sam, we're going to move on to the next hearing for Shires
But
Housing.
I'm saying you're going to have backup in that roundabout. And if you do have backup, I know that because you've got, as you know, you have traffic from the roundabout to Hicks Corners, which is straight line of traffic. You watch, when you put Burger King into it, I'm all for the location into that plaza, but you're going to have backup in that drive-through
Okay,
into that roundabout.
Sam, thank you for your comments. We're going to move on to the next hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dan.
Shires Housing, 300 Pleasant Street is the next application. It looks like we have Jason Dolmich, Stephanie Lane, and Jeff Goldstone here tonight to present that. Do you want to, who's going to start us off?
I'll begin.
Okay.
You want me to, I'll share my screen now, Dan, if you give me the approval.
I think that you're all set to go.
All right. Okay, can everybody see my screen?
Not yet. Now we do.
Now?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Jason Dolmich. I'm with MSK Engineers. I'm presenting for Shires Housing. The project that we're presenting for is located at 300 Pleasant Street, which is at the intersection of Park and Pleasant Street in the office and apartment district. Our proposed project includes the addition of 2 apartments and an office area to an existing 7-unit residential multifamily housing structure. Our site improvements will include a new parking area to accommodate, actually, I'm sorry, hold on. I just want to, I'll share my spotlight here. So we have a new parking area to accommodate the proposed expanded use. We're adding additional street trees and screening of the existing parking area, which is here, as well as screening of the new proposed parking area as well. We're including an enclosed refuge area, which is included in the application, and new water and sewer entrances for the barn where the expanded use will be, as well as a new sprinkler entrance for the existing structure. I'm also going to hand it over to Jeff briefly, Jeff Goldstone from
Jason?
Goldstone Architect. Yep.
I have one question.
Sure.
That barn area, is that where the 2 apartments are going?
That's correct.
Okay.
Yep. Now I'll hand it over to Jeff Goldstone, who can describe what proposed changes are being made to the existing elevations.
Thank you. Just to clarify, as Jason said, the 2 apartments and the office, small office space, are all proposed for the barn structure. And that barn currently is used for storage and has been used for storage, as well as potentially for some vehicular storage over the recent history. We are basically restoring the house. Jake, could you go to the drawing preceding this one? Oh, okay, maybe it's the next one in the other direction.
Roll 1.
Thank you. So you can see that the house is going to remain with all its same fenestration. It's all the same siding, same roofs, same chimneys, etc. We're not proposing to make any substantial changes to the exterior, but we are going to be doing a very substantial restoration of the woodwork and repainting the entire structure. And we will be changing all of the double hung windows, which are currently vinyl windows. And although they're vinyl replacement and the newest windows in the house, they are all failing. And they will be replaced with new fiberglass windows. In addition, the back of the structure, where you see the entrance to the left side of the main elevation, thank you, that's a new entrance to a handicap accessible unit in the back of the apartment, in the back of the building, and it will have a handicap ramp behind it. As you can see the entrance to the ramp in the elevation. In terms of the barn, if we can go to the next elevation, Jay. we're simply referring to these as the house and the barn. The barn has more extensive exterior renovations. The barn has been altered over the years. The overall shape of it is not, but the fenestration has been altered over the years. And we're going to do some changes to that. 2 new entrances to the upstairs apartments with the shed roof over the entrances, and an entrance with the gable roof for the office. The office will be accessible as required by the accessibility rules. And of course, the 2 apartments will be up a staircase to the 2nd floor. The apartments are on the 2nd floor. We plan to maintain the colors of the buildings as they are currently. And we therefore have not provided you with a colored elevation because those colors are intended to remain. The roofs were recently restored or replaced, and the roofs will not be changed during this renovation. I think that pretty well outlines the changes.
I'll stop sharing.
Yes,
Dan?
thank you,
Okay.
Jason. So we're going to first go to any board members that have any questions for Jason or Jeff or Stephanie. Is there anyone who has a question? And looks like Dan Malmberg has his hand up. So Dan, go right ahead.
Yeah, is the entire complex then going to be 14 bedrooms?
No, there are 9 apartments and 10 bedrooms. They're all 1-bedroom apartments with the exception of one of the 2 new ones in the barn, which will be a 2-bedroom apartment.
Thank you.
Ron, looks like you have a question.
Yeah, I just have 3 assumptions. I'm not supposed to do that, but I do. I'm assuming that the lot coverage with the building is in compliance, number 1. I'm also assuming there are the proper number of parking spaces for the tenants. And I'm assuming this did not have to go before the HPC. Are my assumptions correct?
So 2 out of 3 are, Ron, so I can answer those. The Historic Preservation Commission has approved the changes, and actually Jeff's on that commission, although he recused himself, as he should have. But the HPC has approved the changes. They're very minimal as far as appearance, but they're doing significant improvements as far as windows and woodwork and that sort of thing.
Okay.
So Jeff, maybe you can talk about your experience with the HPC.
The HPC approved this via email. There were a couple questions, but no objections to any of the changes or any of the improvements we're making.
Okay. Ron, and then the second thing you asked, or one of the things you asked, was about parking, and they are in compliance. They've added all the additional parking they need to meet the new uses or the additional apartments. And as far as the lot coverage, they are not. This is the office apartment, so it doesn't have the minimum lot size that per unit that's required. But it also, they are not adding any additional square footprint, so they're okay from that standpoint.
Okay, thank you.
All good questions, and I forgot, that's actually my fault. I should have mentioned right up front that the HPC had approved the
I
renovation.
looked at that a couple of times, but couldn't find it. Okay, no big deal. Thanks, Dan.
But thanks for catching that.
I have a question.
Okay, Jane?
Yeah, would you like Jeff to speak more? You and I spoke about the window fenestration, whether it was 1/1 or 2/2, maybe 6/6, although I doubt it. Would you like to speak to that?
Yes, I'd be happy to. The elevations you saw of the house, which indicate the double hung windows being replaced, until today, we had intended to replace them as 1/1 windows. In other words, a single pane above, a single pane below. That still may be our intention. We haven't vetted this completely yet. However, we wanted to investigate the possibility that that was not the original configuration, and that when they put the vinyl windows in, they took out a window that was divided. It's my strong sense that we had probably a 2/2 window, but that's conjectural. Until today, our historic preservation consultant who's preparing the Part 2 for the National Park Service Historic Preservation Tax Credit application had told me that because it would be speculation, we were not to consider anything but replacing the 1/1 windows with new 1/1 windows. As of today, in part because of my conversation with Jane, and in part because it just seems like it's unlikely that the divisions were as they are now, the woman who's preparing the part 2 has encouraged us to make the change to a 2/2. Now, Stephanie, who's my client, has not even had a chance to be told these things yet. So I can't commit to any changes until we have that thoroughly vetted through the client and the cost implications, et cetera. So we are presenting it as drawn. That's what we're asking for your approval of. Should we decide to make a change, we would go through the HPC and explain to the HPC why the changes are being made the way we are. And then we would present that to Dan. And if Dan chose to, if that raises to the level of needing the review of the committee, then fine. But at the moment, we are asking for permission to do the elevations as shown.
Thanks, Jeff.
If you
Anyone
deny
else?
it, sorry, go ahead. I apologize.
Anyone else from the board? Any board?
Yeah,
members?
Dan?
Yeah, there he is. Bill, what you got?
Yeah, the garage doors on the barn, I was trying to read it. They're being removed?
No, they're going to be maintained and just painted.
Oh, really? You're gonna leave them? Okay.
Yeah.
Are they gonna be replaced or just the ones that are there?
The ones that are there are in decent shape, so we're going to leave them.
Okay.
Anyone else from the board have a question for Jeff, Jason, or Stephanie? Okay, I'm going to go to Sam. He's muted right now, but I'm going to ask him to unmute and say, Sam, do you have any questions for the applicant?
I had on hello, I had to unmute myself. Yes, I have questions. I have reservations on this a little bit.
Okay.
As you know, can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead and ask your
Okay.
question, please.
As you know, Valentine Street is a very narrow street, correct?
Okay, just ask your questions, please.
Yeah, okay. Are you allowing any parking on Valentine Street up to that corner where Pleasant Street is?
There.
We have applied, this is Jason Dolmich with MSK Engineers. We have applied for, we've made this application assuming that all parking will be accommodated on the parcel.
Okay, and how much traffic are you going to be generating? That's a lot of spaces, 10 parking spaces with an office space. That normally is a residential area and you don't see that much traffic on the corner of Valentine and Pleasant. And as you know, that's a narrow street. And a few winters ago, there was a bad fire on Valentine Street, so much that the ladder truck could not get down that street.
We don't, with the addition of an office space and 2 apartments to this parcel, which comply with the standard of this section of the bylaws, we don't anticipate any substantial increase of traffic to this area due to this project.
Okay, I'm just making you aware of the situation. You've done a good job. You've done extensive work. My hat's off to you.
Thanks, Sam. Do you have any other questions for the applicant?
No, I don't.
Okay, thank you for your comments. Okay, board members, we're back, unless there's more questions. I don't see any. We're back to the same situation we were for the last hearing. You have 3 options at least. To make a motion to approve, to continue because you'd like more information, or to ask to go into or make a motion to go into deliberative session to discuss the application amongst yourselves. So I'd say those are the 3 options unless somebody can come up with another one. I'd ask for a motion of some kind.
I'll move to
I'll
approve.
make a motion to approve.
Okay, that's Charles Koukouris has made a motion to approve. And Dan, we're going to give Dan a second on that one. Is that okay, Dan? Okay, so Linda, get that. Charles Koukouris has made a motion. Dan Melenberg has seconded that motion to approve as presented. So all those in favor, please.
Wait a minute, I have to bring something up.
All right, Charles, what's up?
Jane, I have spoken to you 2 or 3 times about contacting the applicants before the meeting. I'm going to have to ask you to recuse yourself from the voting.
Okay, sure, fine.
Okay, so Jane, so Linda, just for your information, Jane has recused herself. So all those in favor, please say aye.
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 Are there any opposed? And any abstentions? Okay, so we do have enough votes for a passage, and it's unanimous with 1 abstention. Thank you very much. Okay, so that concludes our 2 hearings, and Stephanie, Jason, and Jeff, you guys can leave us at any time you want, or you could hang out with us. We don't mind, but thank you very much for joining us this evening, and best of luck with the project.
Thank you so much.
Thanks very much to everybody. We'd love to hang out with you, but it's not quite as fun virtually. Have a great night, everybody. Thank you for your time.
Good night. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any other business this evening? I can say that it looks like we will not be having a meeting on in our first meeting in February, which would be the 2nd. We may have a meeting on February 16th, so that's to be determined. But I just want everybody to know that's kind of our schedule, and obviously I'll give you plenty of notice before the 16th if we're going to have this meeting. So is there any other business for folks this evening?
Stay healthy.
Yeah.
Definitely, we've got it. We're doing that. We're trying, getting closer and closer.
It took me longer to go through all those drawings than this meeting took.
Oh, man.
Well, I will say this, and both applicants were very thorough in their drawings and their applications. So it makes our job easier when they do the work up front. So I think that was good. Okay.
I need to speak because I try not to have conflicts. And if I had understood that just simply saying, have you looked at the bird's eye view maps made it a conflict of interest, I would not have done it.
So Jane, I don't think it raises to a conflict of interest. What it is an ex parte communications, which we do discourage. It doesn't necessarily disqualify you, but Charlie being the chairperson, he's very careful about these things. He does not, as chairperson, it's a good thing to encourage people not to have ex parte communication. So that's Charlie's call on that one. And I think it's a good one. I didn't know that you had reached out to him. I thought that he had reached out to you.
He reached out to me. I simply responded.
Okay.
Have you looked at the bird's eye view maps?
Okay, so he had responded. He had reached out to you.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, what you should say is you cannot talk to him outside of the meeting. I think it's in the state statutes, isn't it,
Yeah,
Dan?
I will next time. It's just that it seemed like that was me simply answering a question. I wasn't suggesting anything about the hearing
know.
or the
You're
plan.
just supposed to say I cannot discuss it outside of the public meeting. It's the state statutes.
It is best practice, and it can be considered a problem with due process if we have ex parte communication. So we do try to avoid those. I understand in this case it was perfectly innocent, but it is a good practice to let folks know that we just shouldn't chat with them. Okay, any other business this evening? None.
Nope.
Okay, so we need a motion to adjourn.
Actually, I have a quick item.
Oh, okay. Sorry, Dan, I didn't see you.
I just thought of it. Is there anybody that's approaching the end of their term that needs to reapply, Charlie? Do you know?
There
I
are
am.
there are a couple folks, but that doesn't happen until May typically. So I will certainly let you folks know well in advance and give everybody an opportunity to reapply, hopefully.
Well, I tell you, I will not reapply.
So your term is coming up, Charlie?
Yes, it's coming up. We've been on it for 20 years. So I would like someone, if they would like to be the new chairman.
Uh-oh, so we're going to have to think about that really seriously. Everybody needs to think about that. Otherwise, they're just going to get, we'll just have to, make someone the chair without their consent if we don't get somebody to volunteer. So draft you the position.
That's how I got it.
All right. So start thinking about who wants to be chairperson, because that's a big job. Anyways, anybody else? I don't see anybody, so we'll need a motion to adjourn.
I make a motion to adjourn.
That's
Second,
Bill, and then Charles seconded. So all in favor, please say aye.
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 That sounds unanimous to me. Everybody have an excellent evening, and we'll see you next time.